Hello, and busy professionals, and welcome to the You Deserve a Luxury Vacation podcast. I'm here with Justa, and we are going to talk about Tanzania today. And I'm so happy to have her on. I know we've been going back and forth. It's a pleasure to have her on because a lot of requests have been coming to Showtime Travel about Tanzania. What's this all about? You know, how do you get there? We're going to answer all of those questions. So we're going to just start it and begin. So how are you doing, Justa?
I am good. I'm good. I know it's been a long time since we've been trying to get this going, and I'm really excited. This is amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. And thank you for taking the time out. I know you have a busy schedule, so we wanted to get in there. So kind of tell us, I mean, you have a company, Curious
Mhm.
on Tanzania. Kind of tell us about your relationship. Why did you start it and what's it all about?
Oh my God. I don't know. I'll probably need to write like 3 books on this or 10 books. How I started, where I'm at, and where it's going.
Okay.
um, oh wow, where did it? So Curious on Tanzania, is the name of the company, but like it has its humble beginnings.
Mhm.
I myself am Tanzanian. I was born and raised in Tanzania, and I moved to the United States at the age of 12.
Okay.
So living in the United States for almost like, I think it was almost 10 years before visiting my home country back again.
Mhm.
And learning a lot about what the various living in, let me say, in New York City specifically, where it's a melting pot of all these different cultures. I got to experience and meet people from like different places all over the world.
Okay.
But like as I was looking to see, I noticed something was missing, which was my Tanzanian culture. And so I was like, okay, Tanzanian culture is missing. Like, how do I bring it into? How do I bring this particular experience, which I experience a lot, especially when I'm home, but not a lot of people know about this particular country. Came when I was 12, so I also knew very little about my home country besides of what I know from my mom's experience living in Tanzania um, at the earlier age. That's all I
Mhm.
knew. And so, but yet people are asking me about this beautiful country. They're talking about safaris, they're talking about this, but I've never been. Never
Okay.
been on a safari, never climbed on Kilimanjaro, never did none of the tourist stuff. But some people were coming up to me and mentioning about, oh, yeah, I went to Tanzania, the safari. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's beautiful. And that's it, but never experienced it. When I got the opportunity to be able to experience it, that's when I caught the bug. I was like, oh my God, I got to appreciate my country way better compared to before. I got to see the beauty of like why people are praising the safaris, why people want to do visit the country, why people want to know about the people, the different cultures. So when
Okay.
I came back, I was like, okay, so what do I do next? What is my, where do I go? Because there are people who are seeking to know more, and there's a cultural representation that's missing in New York. And I am Tanzanian, so it is more like, so like every finger, every time I pointed, fingers are like the other side. I had like 4 fingers pointing at me.
Okay. Yeah.
So I ended up kind of like, okay, so 4 fingers are pointing at me. Now it's like 8, because if I point all my fingers, it's like, what do you do?
Uh-huh.
So like I kind of looked at it and I was like, you know what? I need to be that representation. I need to take charge of like being able to introduce people to my country. And because I did not know that much about it, because there are people who like would travel everywhere and they know all the details, I wanted to become the master of it, but I also wanted to bring people along with me. So that's how I called it Curious on Tanzania. It's out of my own curiosities for the country to try to understand it better, but also to help others who want to join us on a journey to be able to understand this beautiful country. And so we do that via we do, of course, experiences in Tanzania, but then we also curate various experiences here in New York to kind of bring the culture to life. So that's a
Oh,
notch of what Curious in Tanzania is about.
that was great. That was very detailed, but that is great. We kind of start from the beginning, from where it all
Yeah,
started from to where we are now. And that's interesting because a lot of people sometimes represent countries who don't even visit those countries. But not only you're a born citizen of it, but now that you've gone back and your curiosity of bringing other people on.
yeah.
So now that, we're getting that curiosity, why should people visit Tanzania?
Oh my God. I think that's what I asked myself too. Like, when I was trying to convince some of my friends, like, oh my God, you definitely need to come to Tanzania. You'll be able to go to safari. They were like, what else? I was like, oh man, I was like, climbing Kilimanjaro. They're like, I don't want to climb the mountain. Like, no, I don't have energy for that. They're like, what else? So that what else is what drove me to wanting to go and figure out what else. So Tanzania is it's like a melting pot of like the perfect world. We have about like 120 tribes, and we speak about 200 different languages. We have from the second tallest mountain in the world, which is Mount Kilimanjaro, to the seventh and eighth wonder of the world, which is the Ngorongoro crater, which is called also the Garden of Eden, where the animals just live endlessly freely. We have about 26% of our land dedicated towards game reservation. So we almost have like 26 different national game parks.
Okay.
So just imagine the size of Germany, you could say. That's our game parks.
Oh, wow.
So that is like this, that's like 26% of our land is towards a game reservation.
Okay.
So we do have like a lot of wildlife, a lot of animals in those particular game parks. When you come to Tanzania, if you are bet to see some form of animal within the natural resources.
Okay.
From there, then you fly over to the beautiful Zanzibar, where you have the beautiful white sand beaches. The culture is amazing. The food is unbelievable. Now, let me say, when you come to Dar es Salaam will bring you back to it's one of the second fastest growing city in Africa. But it's growing so fast. Even during the pandemic, our numbers were going up compared to like any other place. But Dar es Salaam will take you back in time and then bring you into the future.
All right. Wow.
Meaning you experience what the historical side of it's all in one. We still have our mother cultures, or like the presence of like some people call it the past, but for us it's current, where different tribes, how they dress like, how they live their lives like, and all of that, you will see it in Dar es Salaam. Like the Maasais, you meet them in Dar es Salaam. They do different work, but you meet them there.
Okay.
But then if you want to go to a really high-end restaurant, you could be able to go to like a very high-end restaurant and you feel like you're on top of the world, like in the middle of New York City.
All right.
That is Dar es Salaam.
Got it. All right. Now I know that is enticing in itself.
And I haven't said nothing about my village.
We haven't even got to that yet. Okay. So let's do this. Yes. A lot of our audience are from North America, and the journey, the African diaspora, big right now. A lot of people are geographical challenged. They really don't know where Tanzania is. Can you kind of explain where it's located?
Yes.
And the airlift, what type of flights do you need to get there?
So let me say, if you're departing from the centers, like let me say ATL, New York, I think California also is one of the international, or any of the international airports coming from the United States. It would take, let me say, from New York, you'll probably take about 12 hours to go to Europe or to go to the Middle East. And then from the Middle East, you connect 6 hours. So altogether, your trip might be like 22 hours, like 18 to 22 hours.
Okay.
But you do have the middle where you cut it. Or like, let me say, if you're able to take one of the local African airlines, then it will probably be like 14 hours only.
All right.
Compared to if you go into Europe or if you're stopping in the Middle East. Myself, I usually stop in the Middle East because I love it there. So I'll stop for like a quick, let me say, if I'm stopping in Qatar, then I'll take Qatar Airways to Qatar, stop for a couple hours, enjoy myself, and then make my connection into Tanzania. Okay. So an average of like 18 to 22 hour journey. Sometimes it goes a little bit higher depending on what flight you book.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful trip. The airlines usually will treat you really well. You have food everywhere. They will
Right.
feed you. There's amazing movies to watch. All the latest movies you could be able to watch to pass time. You could even write a book to pass time. But like it's a very easy commute. And once you arrive in Dar es Salaam or in any of the three international airports in Tanzania, we pick you up and just take you on a journey.
So what, yeah, and I'm glad you told us about the three international airports. And I was going to ask you, which one do most people fly into in
So
Tanzania?
And so we have three airports. One of the airports is next to Kilimanjaro, the
Mhm.
mountain. The other one is in semi-capital, which is Dar es Salaam, and then
Mhm.
the other airport is in Zanzibar.
Okay.
So it would depend on what is your first leg of your trip, and that's where we'll kind of make a decision to what airport you land in.
Okay.
So let me say, if you plan to go on a northern safari and you plan to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, I would definitely tell you to fly into Kilimanjaro. You do the safari, you finish, and then I'll fly you locally into Zanzibar. Then you finish Zanzibar, then you fly out of Zanzibar or Dar es Salaam.
Okay.
So compared to like a lot of countries, also like let me say, Kenya has only I think it's like one or two international airports. Uganda has one international airport. So for Tanzania to have three international airports, that's a huge deal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just, I went to just went to Ghana, and I think I'm pretty sure Accra is the only one. So I don't
Yep.
think yeah, I don't think it's more than that. So that's great that you have three options to fly into your country.
Yeah.
So when it comes to it, I
Oh, you
hear,
had asked about the location. I think I
right.
forgot to mention about the location. So Tanzania is located at the Horn. So this is the map of Africa. So like if you look at the Horn here,
Mhm.
there is Kenya on top of us, Uganda, there's Burundi, there's Rwanda, and then at the bottom there's Tanzania, and then there's Malawi, Mozambique, and DRC on the other side. So we are surrounded by 8 countries, and also the Indian Ocean is our beautiful coast.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have the Indian Ocean there. So and I think that's what's been catching a lot of people's eye is the ocean right there. Now it's funny you said this because a lot of my clientele are African American, and they really don't get wowed by the wildlife there,
Mhm.
but they like it. But compared to others, I think that's kind of one of the top reasons why they visit Africa. So a lot of people are looking more into kind of the culture and the settings.
Yep.
And you look into it, and I see that beautiful setting, and let's talk about Zanzibar because that's right on the water, correct?
Yes,
And
Zanzibar is one of my favorites. So if you are traveling to Zanzibar, I mean, if you're traveling to Tanzania, I'll catch you in Zanzibar. That's what I usually say. I'm like, they're like, oh, a lot of our guests usually they ask me, because I speak to some of our guests, they're like, oh, are we gonna meet you in Tanzania? I'm like, yes, we'll meet in Zanzibar for like dinner or something like that,
yeah.
on the beach. Um, but Zanzibar is one of those islands where it's beautiful. To start off with the Indian Ocean, compared to any other oceans in the world, the Indian Ocean is one of the most peaceful oceans that you could ever be able to experience. So the water, like last time I went to Cabo, Mexico, and I thought I would have been able to just go in the water and just probably sit there for half an hour, not even a second, because the water would just swallow you and take you backwards, like right away.
Exactly.
I was like, what? So I had to just stick to being in the pool,
Mhm.
not for Zanzibar or not even for the coast of it on the mainland in Tanzania, because we do have even a prettier coast, which is like a hidden gem
Mhm.
compared to Zanzibar. And we also have a lot of other islands around, but Zanzibar is the biggest island. Um, so when it comes to the water, literally you could just be in the water for almost like half an
Mhm.
hour or so. The water is the temperature is is at the right temperature for you to be in the water.
Mhm.
The waves are not as strong compared to anywhere, so you could go as long as you want. We do have like high tides and low tides, meaning the water goes and disappears, It goes
Okay.
like far, far away, and then it comes back in the evening. So you have that opportunity either in the early morning or late evening, depending on what side of the island you're at. You could be able to walk on the ocean all the way, maybe like Jesus did, all the way to the other end, just
Walk
like
on
how your
water.
picture is, all the way down. You could walk, and then you could just come back, and it's just, you'll be amazed. By the time either morning time or evening comes, when the tides come back, it's a whole different experience compared to like another time being. So Zanzibar has that beauty, but the water is extremely very peaceful, turquoise blue. Every single corner you go to is like, you just feel at peace, just like the Indian Ocean.
Yes, I see, you know, of course you see the Maldives in the Indian Ocean, and you see those pictures, and everybody says, you know, Zanzibar is an alternative, you know, seeing the
It's not the
water, but
alternative, it's the new thing to do.
okay, I like that. All right, that, yeah,
We're not the alternatives.
it's the new thing to do, and
It's the
I
new
think,
thing to do,
yeah,
especially for like people of color, or like African Americans. Like, you want to experience what African hospitality is about, you definitely need to come to Zanzibar, especially on the beach or anywhere. If you're taking a vacation, definitely Zanzibar. It should be included, because you get that beach experience, but then you also get the cultural immersive experience also, to kind of understand what people are like, about, but then also yourself, to understand yourself even better. Like, why do I do things like this? Sometimes you have an answer there, like, oh, okay, I see these
yeah.
people doing certain things. Or spices, I see these people eating a lot of spices, like, oh, their food is spiced up. Maybe this is the reason why our food is like spiced up to this level, you know, like smaller things like that. You could be able to find yourself and be able to identify yourself a little bit better.
I agree. I agree. And that's why I think a lot of people are actually going back to Africa, because you want to get that sense of that feeling of where you come from. But now that, you know, it's you just know, and curiosity that comes about, like, why do I do this? Why do I do that? And then it seems like your cousins are over there. It's almost like you see somebody that reminds you of somebody back home. And that's amazing. So now that we're talking about that, let's talk about the people of Tanzania. What you said is so many different languages, but let's talk about the people and culture. What should we expect?
Oh my God. Expect the people are super friendly. Expect the unexpected. People are super friendly. Because we have we have like different tribes. And in Tanzania, we predominantly speak Swahili.
Okay.
So the language of Swahili is a mixture of 72 different languages.
Whoa.
And this is a language that was actually used during trade. And it's a mixture of like Bantu languages, which means languages from all over Africa. It's a mixture of like Spanish. It has Arabic in it. It has Portuguese. It has what is it? French in it. So it's like a mixture of all these languages, where it's almost like patois to Jamaica, but not really, because like it's its own language. Patois is a dialect, but this is more of its own language, but it's a mixture, 72 different languages. Wow. When we got our independence, our first president made it kind of like made an initiative where they wanted us to have a unified country, because we used to be a socialist country. So one of the things that came out of that is we need to have a language that we all understood besides the European language. Okay. So Swahili was the language that was implemented to be able to be spoken within Tanzania. So if you visit any corner of Tanzania, beyond just speaking our local tribal languages, we all speak Swahili. So any place in Tanzania you go to, that's what makes Tanzania very unique compared to if you go to like anywhere else within Africa. Because if you go to anywhere else within Africa, even people within their country, they have to use European language. Most of the time they have to use English to be able to communicate with each other. We don't. Within East Africa, we don't. And then within Tanzania, it's even more, we don't. We could use Swahili and we could be able to communicate really easy. And communication is always key to be able to understand each other. So that's what makes Tanzania, I think, very peaceful. People are very friendly. even amongst each other. So we don't have too much of the tribal conflicts or anything like that. It's because we have the unity or the unification of Swahili.
Great.
So anywhere you go in Tanzania, you speak Swahili, everybody understands it. So that gives you that comfort. For me, it gives me the comfort because I speak Swahili. So it gives me the comfort. For the tourists that are coming in, you will find like this peace. You get to understand it and you get to see exactly what I just saw, what I just said. But you also get to see other cultures being represented besides the Swahili traditions, the Swahili culture that you will get mostly from the coast because of the trade that used to happen around the coastal places. And Zanzibar is one of the coastal islands, but also the coast of Tanzania. You have the Swahili is more spoken there, and you also get to see why.
Okay.
So there's a lot of hidden things in there.
Great. Now, of course, North Americans coming over, how can they, it's going to be that language barrier.
Yeah.
What percentage knows English? How easy can someone who doesn't speak Swahili get around?
Oh, they could get it because like in school, primary school, we are taught in Swahili, but once you go to secondary school, it's done in English. So
Okay.
majority of people speak English. So English is our second language, but Swahili is our first language. English is our second language.
Got it. Okay, great. Now you were making me a little hungry when you were talking about the spices and everything. So tell me a little bit about the food and some of your favorite dishes.
Oh my God. There's always a story to everything. So when it comes to like Tanzanian food, so to be able to identify what Tanzanian food, you have to tap into the tribes. Each tribe has its main dish. It's because of the availability of what they could be able to grow. So that becomes like a main staple or their main food within that particular region. So for example, so like our cuisine, you find it mixed a lot. When it comes to the coast area in Zanzibar, my favorite dish, of course, I have to go with seafood. And they usually put like a lot of spices. Like you will get like the best lobster, the best calamari, and it's well seasoned. It's literally well seasoned, and it's freshly caught. So that's what I like about the coast. You come on the mainland, I will go to like closer to Mount Kilimanjaro. Bananas grow really well, so we have like a banana soup that we do, and that one is a must test, especially when you're closer to the mountain. It's cold there, so you need something hot to drink. So the banana soup is excellent. If you've never tried the banana soup, like cooked banana,
I've never tried that. I'm interested.
It is one of my chefs makes like the best banana soup. I think I put it on my Instagram one time, and they serve it in this pot. It's like served really, really well. We also have an influence of Indian. So we have a lot of our cuisines which are like Indian influenced. So the pilau, the samosas, the chapatis, like all the little goodie stuff, you also be able to find that, especially like on the coastal side or like in Dar es Salaam. You'll be able to get like a mixture of like those kind of foods, which are also kind of like using up the spices with the Indian influence.
Okay, great. Yeah, you're making me hungry. I'm ready. I'm ready. So I know we were earlier in this conversation, we were talking about it, almost like a Garden of Eden, just the all the different animals in the wildlife.
Yeah.
And during my research, I learned about the big migration. Can you kind of tell us about the wildlife there? Because it seems like, what animals could a visitor see, and a little bit about the migration and why people should visit.
Oh, wow. So the migration, the best time for the migration is around like there's a cycle. Everything has a cycle to it, but usually like in September, there's a really good migration where they move from Tanzania and they enter Masai Mara in through the Serengeti to Kenya. So like that, there's that sweet spot where you could be able to see like the wildebeest with the migration when it comes to that. But the different animals that you could be able to see from the big five, the giraffes, the hippos, the rhino, rhinos are very, very rare to see. You probably have to go to Serengeti to see them. between the different what is it, primary animals that you could see, with the
Monkeys.
monkeys, with the
Yeah.
baboons, elephants, of course, giraffes, all the tropical animals, you could be able to see them there.
What about lions?
Oh, definitely. Lions
Oh,
are very territorial. You could
okay.
be able to see lions, but of course they all have like their prides.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get to learn actually in September, that's the, I think around September, August, September, November, October is around during the mating season. So you
Okay.
could be able, that's an exciting time to go. but
Oh,
but yeah, so they have like, everything has like a season to us, different.
okay.
So yes.
What about let's just say the next one? You have the animals. What about Mount Kilimanjaro? You know, everybody
Climbing,
talks about that, you know. Is it, can anybody try it? Do you, would,
yes.
tell us about it.
So Mount Kilimanjaro, I'll tell a story with my mom. So we went to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. My mom at the time, I think she was like around 60.
Mhm.
So we go up and we are trying to climb the mountain, and she's like, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. We're like, okay, great. So when you get to Kilimanjaro to start off your climb, there's a line that shows you this is where climbing Mount Kilimanjaro starts. So she crossed over that line and she walked over just maybe like 10 steps, or maybe like 20. She was like, I climbed it, I'm done. To say that, meaning I think anybody could climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and just ask them, how far did you go?
Right. Right.
So it all depends how far you want to go. Usually when I do the trips of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, especially like climbing with African Americans, they just want to say they climbed it.
Yeah.
And we do like to the first level, which takes a professional maybe like to go up, I mean the professional 2 hours to go up and down, but like it will take you and I probably like 5 hours, 3 hours to go up on a hike, very easy hike, and maybe like an hour and a half to come down. So like I usually recommend to like at least you check it off your bucket list. Just don't tell people how far you went, because they don't need to know. You just climbed it. And that's it.
That's right.
So that's, yeah.
I like that. I like that. Definitely like that. So I will probably, when I make my visit, I don't know how far I'm going up, but I did climb it. No matter what, if it's 2 steps, I
You
climbed
climbed it and you have pictures to prove. That's all. You climbed it. But then there are people who climb it all the way. It's like a six levels. So they climb it all the way to the it takes almost like 7 days.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered a lot of information here. What, if there's anything that you think that I forgot to mention in this interview, is there something that you would like to say, or did I probably missed out? I know we talked about the wildlife, we talked about the food, we talked about the people, we talked about the culture, Zanzibar, of course, where everybody's talking about. Now, I think you did say Zanzibar is an island, right?
Yes, it's an island.
Okay,
Yep.
so how far off the mainland do you have to get?
If you take the ferry, it's gonna take you almost to an hour and a half on a ferry ride, which is a beautiful luxury ferry ride.
Okay.
Or you could do a flight, which will take you from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And then
Okay.
you oversee the whole island. It's actually very beautiful to do the ferry, or to mix the two of them up. So you get to see the island overseas or on the sea.
Okay.
Really nice, yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I really, I think I
think I forgot one question. What are you looking forward? Like if you're planning a trip to Tanzania, like what are you looking forward to being able to experience?
Well, first the culture. I want to see the culture. I love the beauty. Basically on the pictures and everything. But when you mix the people, the culture, and the beauty of the land, I want to see it all. But it seems like, unlike a variety of different African countries, it seems like Tanzania has it all in one country, where you have the wildlife, you have the adventure with the Mount Kilimanjaro, yep. You have the Indian Ocean with the beautiful water and
the nightlife.
Oh, I didn't even think about nightlife. Talk about nightlife.
You definitely have to go into Dar es Salaam. Nightlife, Dar es Salaam has you, because like
okay.
That's how you progress back to the modern life, by going to Dar es Salaam and enjoying an evening live band right on the coast on the ocean. It's like you can't go wrong with that. With like a nice cold local beer drink.
Okay. So, so it can also be a place for people to celebrate maybe milestone birthdays. They have okay. Because I didn't even think about that. And that is great. So, people can celebrate things. They have the nightlife if you want it there.
Exactly. Yep. Milestones. They could do a yacht party if they want. We've been renting out like a lot of boats.
Okay.
We've been kind of like curating like a lot of like out of the not typical experiences. So like they definitely, the yacht is like a new thing now that everybody wants to be able to book and experience it that way, both in Zanzibar or in Dar es Salaam.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So it hits everything. So I think you can also do it from adventure to partying to romantic. You have it all there as well. So it just seems like, and the great thing is, it's so many different parts within the country. So it's not just one particular place. So,
no, it's not. I think that's one of the mistakes that people usually make. They just assume like, I'm just gonna land in one place and everything is gonna move around me. No, it's actually a journey. Like safaris, it will take you almost like 7 hours to get to it.
Okay.
So you have to plan and time everything correctly. So like when it comes to using, let me say, in this case, like using us to be able to kind of plan out your trip correctly, it helps, it saves time, it saves money, it literally saves the stress, because if you try to plan things out yourself is crazy. So having you as a travel agent, being able to make the plans, and all they have to worry about is just making that payment, and then they get picked up at the airport, which is my favorite thing to do, is picking people up at the airport, and they're always crying, like, oh my God, I just got to the motherland. I'm like, yeah, that is my goal. And actually taking them through the journey at ease. They don't have to worry about it. It's just let your money work for you. That's what I tell my clients all the time. I'm like, let your money work for you, because money is meant to be used, money is meant to be spent. How are you going to spend it? How are you going to enjoy this world? And especially when it comes to the continent, how are you going to come and just being able to experience it as a queen, as a king, as a child of whoever you are worthy.
Yeah, whoever you yeah. I agree, and that's why I think we're Showtime Travel and Cures on Tanzania will work together, because we're going to. I want to do this. We want to put a group trip together, and we want to come down there, and I want to bring people all from United States to have them visit this beautiful land. And I think they're ready for an experience. And I'm glad we kind of pointed out, it's so many different things you can do. And, this is not a weekend trip. So make sure you get your 10-day, if you got, get some time off to start working on it. So I'm thinking minimum 10 days. So we got to make sure that we get that together. And I'm just excited to work together with you, because I'm pretty sure we're going to start having these trips to 2023, 2024, and it's going to be great. I can't wait to start working together and putting this together for our people.
I'm excited. This is going to be amazing. I love planning trips. So, and
so
especially within my homeland. I'm always proud. It's almost like when you have like a baby and you want to show it off.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I agree. Well, thank you again for taking the time out to get on this podcast. And I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to really just showcasing all that Tanzania has to offer.
Thank you so much.
All right. Once again, thank you for listening to You Deserve a Luxury Vacation, because you deserve that luxury vacation. Have a good one.